to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mr. Bingle, will you please conduct the roll call?
Mr. Bouye?
Here.
Mr. Defiant?
Here.
Mr. Garrett?
Here.
Mr. Drew?
Here.
Mr. Langley?
Here.
Mr. May?
Here.
Mrs. Paquette?
Here.
Mrs. Perry?
Here.
Mr. Lavender?
Here.
Mr. Trombley?
Here.
All 10 legislators are present for tonight's meeting. If there are no, I'll now ask, you've all received a copy of Stanley's minutes of the June 9th meeting. If there are no additions, deletions, or corrections, I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Trombley, second Mrs. Perry. Discussion. Any additions or corrections? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. We're very pleased tonight to be in the town of Shazy in the 3rd legislative district, which is Mr. Giroux's legislative district. And we want to thank Supervisor Dino and his staff for allowing us to use the facility. Mr. Giroux now would like to say a few words and introduce us to town board.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I'd like to introduce you to the town board that's here tonight. Supervisor Dino is there with the blue shirt. And the town clerk is here, Mr. Oliver. Leo Oliver is here. Bucket Trombley is a councilman from Shazy. There's the village of Shazy here. Don Trombley is also a little bit outside the village.
The valley.
The valley. Excuse me. And we also have Fred Smith here, the caretaker of the Alice Minor Museum right next door here. And we have Wayne Dino, who also is a councilman from West Shazy and does some of the kind of work I do for a living. And I guess that's all we have here that are interiors in this town. If I may, I'd like to say a few notes about Shazy with the help of actually Mrs. Shields. Shazy, if you heard Mrs. Paquette at the last meeting we had in Champlain, that she bragged about Shazy being, town of Champlain being the oldest, one of the oldest settlements in the area. Well, Shazy came along in about 1804, and it has quite a few hamlets. Shazy has the village of Shazy, West Shazy, and a hamlet of Scioto, Ingraham, and Shazy Landing. So it's quite an area. A lot of, as the people traveled around here, they've seen the shores and how beautiful they were, and it ended up that it was bragged about all over the world that some of the best farmland was here in Champlain Valley in this Shazy area, and it still is today. And as that went along, two of the probably most generous people in this county came along about that time. One a little earlier than the other was Lyle Smith and William Minor, and they were both farm boys at the time and wanted to settle in this area. And with that, they were very generous in the money they had, and they gave it liberally. If you remember right, we have the Gold Dome, and the City Hall was given by Lyle Smith. And Mr. Smith, who lived in West Shazy, was born in West Shazy, and today the farm that was on is Mr. Dino's farm that he came from. And he was very generous. He also gave money for the Champlain Valley Hospital, to build the Champlain Valley Hospital, which the nuns took over at that time. Then Mr. Minor came along, and he helped along build if Mr. Smith thinks I'm not doing a good job, then maybe you can help me after. Came along and helped build the physician hospital, but also was a great lover of farming, because he built probably one of the largest farms in Clinton County at the time, and knew how to care for the land. He subsurfaced, drained it, he tiled it so that it wouldn't get too wet during the wet seasons, and did a tremendous job. And that was derived because he built the Minor tandem draft rigging gear, which was an automatic coupler for the trains, and made him quite wealthy. He also is credited to building the $1 Million Dam, which in those days was a lot of money to supply electricity to Shazy for almost 10 to 15 years, and then it was destroyed because, if I remember right, because it leaked. And so those are some of the brief histories of Shazy, and I thought I'd share them with you. Don't ask me any questions about them because I can't answer them, but Mr. Smith would be glad to answer them, I'm sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Giroux. Mr. Dino, I'd like to, on behalf of the County Legislature, if you could step up here, I'd like to present you with this replica of the courthouse in Plattsburgh, built in 1889, and hope that you will display it proudly here in the town hall. And on the back of it, we've each given you our signatures. And we want to thank you again for allowing us to have our session here tonight.
Well, thanks an awful lot. You're welcome anytime.
Thank you very much. There you go.
And I think, I'd like to add, Joe, you did very good on that. The first central school in the United States was across the road here, and built by miners.
And the
It's
first
been
busing
destroyed.
system too. One of the first busing systems.
Yes,
too.
they had buses, in fact, in the winter time, they had runners on them, and they were heated and everything. And this building here, which is vacant now, was a housing for the nurse, not the nurses, the school teachers. And everything was tunneled. The heat was all central heated, and it was all tunneled. There's tunnels all over here with all these buildings.
In fact, that was the first school, wasn't it, before Mr. Miner built?
Yes, the front part was the first school here, before he built it.
Thank you.
Good, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll display it proudly.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Paquette now has a presentation to make. Mrs. Paquette?
Mr. Garrett, if you would stand. While you were away on university business, your fellow legislators wanted to recognize you for your loyal and dedicated service to Plattsburgh State University of New York. It was motioned by Mrs. Paquette, Mr. DeRue, May, Bouye, and Langland. Whereas Don Garrett officially retires in June of 1999 after a 39-year career of distinguished public service at Plattsburgh State University. And whereas Don graduated from Plattsburgh in 1957 with a Bachelor of Science degree in education, and in 1959 with a Master of Science degree in secondary education. And whereas after a brief career in the teaching profession in the Albany area, Don decided to return to Plattsburgh and join the Plattsburgh State staff in 1960 as Director of Public Information. And whereas, just checking to see if all this is correct. And whereas Don was promoted to Assistant to the President for College Relations in 1968 and was responsible for coordination and implementation of a public relations program that grew over the years to include alumni relations, community relations, fundraising, governmental relations, as well as coordinating all special events. And whereas the Plattsburgh College Foundation was started in 1970 under Don's leadership and currently provides approximately $1 million each year in private support to fund scholarships and grants to assist students to fund their college education. And whereas Don was promoted in 1988 to Executive Assistant to the President for College Relations and Development, and in 1998 was appointed Vice President for Institutional Advancement, where he was the architect of alumni programs to better inform alumni of Plattsburgh State about the organization's progress and needs for the future education of students and fellow alumni. And whereas Don Garrett is well respected by his peers in the state university system, as well as many other private colleges across the state because of his depth of knowledge developed over this extraordinary career, and served as president of the State University of New York Council for University Affairs and Development, which honored him with their Distinguished Service Award in 1988, then therefore be it resolved, the Clinton County Legislature does hereby express its sincere and grateful appreciation to Donald L. Garrett for his many years of dedicated public service, which contributed to the growth and development of Plattsburgh State University, making it one of the best in the state system. And be it further resolved that his colleagues on the Clinton County Legislature extend to Don best wishes for health and happiness in years to come. Seconded by Mrs. Perry, Mr. DeFayette, Trombley, Rappaport, signed by Mr. Bidwell, Lightfoot.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations. It was difficult doing this behind his back. He knows everything.
I was going to say, you've got one by me, and it's the first time I've ever kissed a state university trustee. And I thank you for your kindness, your generosity. A week from today, at about 5 o'clock, or maybe earlier than that, I will leave the college as a full-time employee, but I will be working in a part-time in the future. But it'll be 39 years in August that I went there in 1960, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. And I've enjoyed the legislature more, of course. But I thank you. That was very nice of you, and you did get one by me, and it was a surprise, and I appreciate it, and I'll cherish it for many, many years to come. I'd like to move now that we go into executive session to discuss litigation matters. Would somebody entertain a motion to that effect? Mrs. Perry, Mr. DeFayette, Mrs. Paquette. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I guess George tells us the courtroom's available
Yeah,
for us
great.
for 2 minutes, okay?
This door here is open and.
Executive session moved by Mrs. Perry, seconded Mr. DeFayette. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're now back to the regular session.
Mr. Chairman, could I have to be excused? Our parish priest is having his retirement party up at KC, and I'm an officer, and I'd like very much to attend that, because, you know, we got
Thank you.
to have the flag.
Thank you.
I'll have my sit on. Thank you.
Very good, Mr. Conley.
Thank you.
Slide slow. I now recognize those in the audience who wish to share their thoughts and concern with the legislature. Please raise your hand if you wish to be recognized. State your name and address in accordance with the rules of order. All speakers are limited to 5 minutes, but we welcome all comments. Who would like to address the legislature? Carter?
My name is Tim Carter, residing at 151 Flat Rock Road, Morrisonville. I don't know if you guys caught this, but in a national publication parade, it discusses what are we going to do with our garbage. This issue and this story discuss everything that we're fighting for. It talks about how landfills break down, how the environment gets toxic or gets polluted, and it goes specifically into great detail that all landfills are not safe. We have learned that it is only a matter of time until even the best engineered landfill with the state-of-the-art double-line polyethylene liner, high-density polyethylene liner will leak due to common household chemicals in garbage. You guys are going to be soon voting to increase this tonnage from 125 to 175, and I asked you to speak to each of your town supervisors concerning this, asking the town supervisors in each of your districts, 1, are they for the additional garbage, and 2, are they for a landfill in their own township? Because as soon as the landfill in the town of Scholar Falls is closed, we will be saying, find another home. And you people will either find another home or tell the citizens in the town or in the Clinton County area, you're going to have to pay more for your garbage disposal. Now, you guys just had a legislative session or executive session with Casella. You're not talking about expanding the landfill, are you? Because I've been predicting since day 1 that if you increase the amount of garbage coming into this facility, you will have to expand the size of the Clinton County landfill. And I pray to God that that doesn't happen. We have a very large group of people that are involved in litigation, and if you guys opt to buy or lease or grab more landfill for this, we will file another lawsuit against the legislative body and Casella, rest assured. Another thing, I attended the financial meeting last Wednesday, and the county legislative body is debating on spending an additional $300,000 on a computer software program. There are people that are dying for a raise at the cost of living, and you guys are willing to debate spending additional money on a software program of which your own appointed committee advised you we should be going with this company? This is unlike you guys. You guys usually like to pat yourselves on the back and boast as to how much money you've saved the taxpayers. There are 2 groups in this room. There's concerned citizens of Clinton County, and there's a CSEA. You guys are turning your backs on 2 very large groups. And the concerned citizens of Clinton County does not limit themselves to the people in Scholar Falls. It is the people in Clinton County. Please do not engage our county in slow toxification through our groundwater and our community. And rest assured, we have zoning laws in the town of Scholar Falls, and our citizens will enforce them. And I will be here in front of you people until the next legislative election, stating this fact, and the people will hear the message. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carter. Anyone else like to address the legislature? Anyone else? Okay, we'll go to any reports. For the benefit of the people who didn't get a chance to go to a legislative meeting, I'd like to mention that we have 9 standing committees in each legislature. Each legislator chairs a standing committee. And usually at the last meeting of the month, we have 2 meetings a month, the second and fourth Wednesdays. And at the last meeting of the month, very few committees have reports, because most of the committee meetings are held the first part of the month. So those committee meetings are reported on at the first meeting of the month, which is the second Wednesday of the month. So if you see legislators saying, I don't have any report, I don't want you to think they do their work, because they're very busy people, and many of them serve on 3 and 4 and 5 committees, plus chairing a standing committee. And then we're all members of the Finance Committee. So with that having been said, I now would ask if Mr. Defiant, Chairman of the Building and Grounds, has a report.
Mr. Chairman, the Building and Grounds Committee has not met since our last meeting. Our next meeting is scheduled for Monday, July 12th at 5:30 p.m.
Thank you, Mr. Defiant. County Operations, Mr. Langman.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. County Operations Committee met on Monday, June 21st at 5:15 p.m. There are resolutions before the legislature for adoption tonight that were approved during the meeting. Data Processing submitted a resolution that was reviewed and approved during the meeting regarding authorizing an agreement with Twin State Telephone for the wide area network. Bill Wilson, Director of Weights and Measures, submitted 2 resolutions that were reviewed and approved during the meeting regarding authorization of state travel and authorization of amendment of New York State Petroleum Products Quality Program contract. The Planning Office was represented by Rodney Brown, Director, who submitted 4 resolutions that were reviewed and approved during the meeting regarding authorizing the transfer of properties acquired through the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program at Ladue Street to the town of Schuyler Falls. A resolution authorizing a contract with Griffin International Inc. A resolution authorizing the purchasing agent to advertise and solicit requests for proposals for services required to prepare plans for activities recommended by the local advisory committee to the Lake Champlain Byway Corridor Management Plan for Clinton County. And a resolution supporting a celebration of the 400th anniversary of Samuel B. Champlain's arrival to this region. Mr. Brown also discussed the presence of asbestos in the BIOP project buildings that are to be demolished, and he discussed his monthly report for May. On behalf of the Board of Elections, Michael Brooks and Judith Leahy, commissioners, were present to discuss their public information campaign and the opportunity they have to hire an intern, who will help design the Board of Elections website. And that is my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, it's Mr. Langley. Are there any questions, Mr. Langley? Move on to the next report, Health, Mr. May.
No report, Mr. Chairman. I think our next meeting is July 7th. I'm not sure.
Human Services. Anybody in Human Services have anything to report? Properties Committee, anybody? No?
We did a review of the
We have some.
Youth Bureau and
There might be some,
you
may have a couple.
I can read it.
You have to read that?
Okay. Human Services Committee met on Monday, June 21st at 4:15 on behalf of the Office of the Aging. Catherine McFelty was present for the meeting. Several resolutions were reviewed and approved by the committee and are included on tonight's agenda. On behalf of the Youth Bureau, Gene Williams and Mark Elmore were present for the meeting. Several resolutions were reviewed and approved by the committee and are included in tonight's agenda. On behalf of the Veterans Service Agency, Warren Manor was present for the meeting. A discussion took place regarding the monthly report for May of '99. On behalf of the nursing home, Brian Rudy was present for the meeting. A discussion took place regarding the bid award for laundry delivery of linens. A discussion also took place regarding the bid award for medication administration pharmacy consultant. 2 resolutions are included in tonight's agenda as a result of those discussions. And in that bidding process, through our pharmacy, we actually are we are in line to save $20,000 as a result of that bidding process. And I also just remembered, just to backtrack for a minute, back to the planning office, we are now done the mitigation of Ladue Street, so we will now be entitled to some management fees coming back to us for having gone through that, and that will account to about $50,000, and I believe Mr. Bingle already has that spent.
We're going to use that for the space stuff, right?
All right, we have 18,512 that was savings with the regular prescriptions, and we're saving $1,836 on the consultation, and they're also supplying free medical cards, medication cards to the nursing home on top of that by going with this Royal prescription company. We're also making arrangements for standby in case we'll call out in the middle of the night. The local pharmacies will be like a standby pharmacy in case we need something in the night. So this is downstate company from area. This is Malta, right? They're out of Malta. So we stand to have some savings just by Brian Rudy's doing a good job with it, isn't he? He really is. He really looks around, sees where he can save some money, and this is just an example here of what this guy's doing. Really good guy.
Thank you. Any questions of Mr. Langley or Mr. Avenue? The Human Services report. Public Safety, Mr. Avenue.
No report. I gave my report last time. Our next meeting is July 6th of the Public Safety. Just a few notes. I have a memo from Stop AWI Advisory Board, Lisa Moore Sadly. On June 2nd, the program specialist Sherry McCarty and Lisa Moore Sadly met with area law enforcement agencies to develop a plan for the upcoming 4 months for blanket patrols. 4 patrols were scheduled with the decision to fit in a few seatbelt checks in between for the next 4 months. On June 18th, the interagency blanket patrol was held at 9 p.m. to 4 a.m. in which the Clinton County Sheriff's Department Sergeant Sean Luck was the officer in charge, and they made 4 DWI arrests, 14 other traffic infractions. They are planning a ID compliance check with the City Police Department and State Liquor Authority. It's something that's upcoming. And June 5th, the Clinton County Traffic Safety Program held a child safety seat checkup at Sears at Champlain Centers North. Traffic Safety Coordinator Linda Carpenter with safety seat recognition for this event worked to get the cars seats donated by Sears. They had some donations of car seats up there. The event was well attended. About 40 child safety seats were checked and reinstalled correctly. Out of the 44 car safety seats checked, only 1 was accurately installed. It goes to show we have a lot of car seats out there with people not either installing their seats properly or have the wrong seats for their weight of their child and so forth. So it is a good program, moving ahead. It seems like we can have the people understand it's for their own safety. It's not an inconvenience when you have this. It might be inconvenient to the person, but if it saves life, that's what's important to the child.
Thank you. Any questions, Mr. Avenue? Personnel, Mr. Bouye?
No reports since the last meeting. Our next meeting is July the 1st at 5:15.
Thank you. Social Services, Mrs. Perry?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll give a brief summary of May. Monthly activity report when comparing May of 1998 to May of 1999. Figures in financial service unit are all experienced and significant decrease in the number of applications received. Family assistance received 45 less. Medicaid received 36 less, and food stamp decreased by 29. This decline can be attributed to the success of the screening unit at Social Services. Monthly caseload report, the number of individuals in receipt of cash assistance decreased by 44% from May of 1998. As of May of 1999, 1,202 individuals were in receipt of cash assistance. The number of individuals in the receipt of food stamps slightly increased by 23 cases. Medicaid recipients increased by 2.7% for a total of 7,283 individuals. Child support enforcement due to computer reporting. May was a slow month for child support collections. However, when comparing January through May of 99 to January through May of 98, total collections increased by 225,733, or 10%. Employment unit. No further work participation rates have been received by the state yet. 43 individuals were placed in work sites and have worked a total of 1,757 hours in their community. Staff expenditures, May of 1999 was 6,216 was spent on the program, and cumulative total is 2,092 less today. MMIS, which is Medicaid projections, continue to be under the budget figures. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions of Mrs. Perry? Thank you, Mrs.
And
Perry.
my next meeting will be July 12th at 5 o'clock.
Thank you. Transportation, Mr. Drew.
Yes, our next transportation meeting for July 1st has been canceled because of lack of business, which is good for some people. Mr. Wee still got us going. I'd like to give a brief summary of June 6th to June 19th activities, especially in this area. Old Route 348 from Route 22 to a half mile south of the Ryder Road, culvert replacement is in progress. Drainage improvement from Route 22 to the railroad tracks is in progress, and shoulder cutting is also in progress. In Stratton Hill, a half mile east of the Ashley Road to Old 348, and culvert displacement is completed there. Also, the bridge crew has recently made repairs to 3 deteriorated catch basins in West Shazy, and they helped the town with that, and is currently sweeping in Shazy. Those are some of the activities that are just going around here, but there is quite a bit of work right now going on with the highway department, and you see the trucks going by all the time right now. So, we've got 20 miles of road to replace this summer. So. Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Drew. Any questions of Mr. Drew? Okay. Finance, Mrs. Paquette.
Yes, we had a meeting last Wednesday, June 16th, and our treasurer gave a report, and our sales tax projection are over our budget projection by over $500,000, which is not only good news for the county, but for the towns and villages, which also benefit from this. And Mrs. Dupre discussed the fund balances from our various special funds, and the one she called our attention to is the special revenue fund for the landfill. The debt is decreasing at a remarkable rate because of our lease with the Casella Waste Management. And we won't have to go to serial bonding this year, which would have been very expensive because our debt is decreasing. Our landfill debt as of December 1998 was $7.7 million, but 3 years ago it was $17 million. So we're really attending to that. There was a resolution authorizing the purchase of human resources in the fiscal management software package. A lot of discussion was held because the legislators wanted to be assured that we wouldn't be looking at a new software package next year or the year after, or a lot of changes, that this really meet our needs. I don't have computer expertise, but one of our legislators did, and we questioned the closed and open system. And after a lot of discussion with Mr. Hebert, our data processing, and our county treasurer, we decided to postpone this until 2 of our legislators that I appointed that evening had a chance to look at this further. And tonight there is a motion to on this software. We also have a resolution awarding an RFP for our space study. I'm looking forward to that. Mr. Bigelow prepared a report of 1999 budget and the spending for the first quarter of the year, with very few exceptions. All the departments are within their 25% of spending, and as of May, the 30-some%, doing very well. We also have a resolution authorizing a contract with Twin State for our internet service because we lost this service with our health department. Emergency service wants an upgrade to ensure Y2K compliance. And we have a resolution for that. We discussed home health care software purchase, and because of the $600,000 price tag for that one, our county attorney informed us that we must go out to bid, and Mr. Andrus will help with the specs before his retirement. There were a few other things that got tabled, a request from mental health and alcohol to upgrade their telephone system. We're waiting to speak with Mr. Johnson, the director. We went to executive session, and we will have a special meeting again next Wednesday night, June 30th. But we will not have a meeting June 7th. So
July 7th.
July 7th.
Thank you, Mrs. Paquette. Any questions of Mrs. Paquette? And I assume Mr. Boyd and Mr. Lang will have a report for us tonight, and we'll discuss it with Mr. Boyd. Thank you. Liaison reports, Bob, the extension, Mr. Drew.
Yes, I handed out a report to everybody in their packets for June 23rd, 1999 report. As you can see, the food stamp nutrition program, when we approved a grant, we authorized the Department of Detention to go advertise for a grant again, and that has been requesting for an application for another year. We approved that. Beth Spot, now that the last meeting we approved the Farmland Protection Plan grant, and she is working on that, her and Rodney, to try to get the money to get that off the ground so we can, next year or so, we can have some information on that. This year also at the fair, there will be an open house that evening, Monday on July 19th at 6 p.m. in the 4-H building for those who are interested in going. That's the report except for the written part. So.
Thank you, Mr. Drew. Board of Health, Mr. Drew.
Board of Health had a meeting Monday night. I do not have the minutes in front of me. Most of it was done on replacing Mr. Andrews, interviewing. I think we had 16 or 17 candidates that have applied for the position so far. Mr. Gibson is going through the applications, making sure that they meet all county criteria. They will be married. It will be mailed to all Board of Health members, not Board of Health, Board of Health members shortly to review the applications, and I think we start the applications the third week of July to go over the finals. A committee has been set up to review the 17 to narrow it down to 3 to 5. Then we'll do that. I presume that no legislators are interested in the review because Mr. Dinglehead has received no names, right, Bill? And also we reviewed the request from the legislators as far as pay for Mrs. Madden and stipends for the new person applying for the jobs. And Bill, did you give those to Jack in the last couple of days? He didn't have that.
I reported to him yesterday afternoon.
Okay. And that's really it. That was the purpose of it.
Will we be allowed to sit in on the interviews
Yes.
with the finalists?
Yes. If you want to, you're allowed to sit in, but you'll have no input.
They might not ask for opinion after, right?
If you give it to me, maybe I can.
When we allow our advisory board for the nursing home to sit in on the interviews for nursing home, we give them the opportunity that night to provide their.
I can't see why we couldn't have a written request, saying that, we think this one would be the best. And I could represent the county at that. I have no problem
I
with
wouldn't
that.
be interested in reviewing all the applications, but I'd certainly be willing to go to the interview
Fine.
of the finalists.
Okay, keep that in mind.
Let's see here, Inter-County, Mr. Conley isn't here. LCLG Planning Board, nothing there. RC&D, Mr. Dean.
Yes, we had a soil and water meeting on last Thursday. The minutes have been mailed to everybody. I didn't realize not everybody was getting the minutes. Only me and Mrs. Paquette were getting them. Now everybody will receive the minutes. And if you will notice on the last page, NRCS reports, they will have everybody's district marked in legislative area and what it's done in those areas, so you'll be more informed of what's happening. Except to live in the middle of the city, Mr. Garrett's rock garden may be looked at, but we don't know about that. Other than that, the report is very brief this month. Mr. Mahoney is very busy with the grant money that's been applied to this county, about $1 million that I reported to you at different meetings, and he's very busy working on that. That's the end of my report.
Thank you, Mr. Bloom. Anything from Grievance Committee? Labor Management? Nothing? Okay. Staff reports. Mr. Bingham?
No report.
I have a couple of things. First of all, I'd like to thank Mrs. Paquette for taking my place during the last two meetings. The first meeting, I was on vacation, and the last meeting, 2 weeks ago, I was in Saratoga Springs, where I was invited to attend a meeting of the State University Public Relations Council. It was my last meeting there, and they honored me as you did tonight. So that's where I was the second meeting, first meeting on vacation. I'll try not to miss 2 meetings in a row anymore. But anyway, I wanted to say that the county has completed the Dew Street buyout. The property's been restored, and the resolution is on the agenda tonight to transfer the property to the town of Scholar Falls. This will be a real welcome event for the town of Scholar Falls, I'm sure of that. On the labor relations front, the next mediation session between the county and our CSEA bargaining unit will be held on Monday at 10:30 a.m. And it's also my understanding that the mediators report from the sheriff's unit will be sent to all of you this weekend and to review. And we hope, I know you all hope, as I do, that we can resolve our labor relation, our negotiation problems sometime in the next couple of months. And let's hope that we can do that. The dedication and unveiling of the courthouse eagle, crafted by former county legislator Kip Booth, is Monday afternoon at 4:30 in front of the courthouse. The eagle was with wear and tear, which had been up there since about 1889. It was practically worn out. Did it fall down eventually? You took it down, okay. And Mr. Booth, who was a very, very famous carver, we commissioned him to carve a new eagle. And so that will be unveiled, so to speak, and erected and put up there, and that stands pretty nice. And that will be this Monday. Unfortunately, I can't be there because I have to be in Albany to meet with the governor. And apparently, he's called a meeting of 13 local government officials to discuss ways of ensuring better cooperation between local governments and his administration. He will have with him 13 of the top commissioners, Health, DOT, Health, DEC, Gargano, Development Corporation, Empire State Development, and they'll be meeting with 5 supervisors, 5 town supervisors, the mayors of Syracuse, Albany, and Binghamton, and then the chair of the Nassau County Board, myself, and the executive in Dutchess County, 2 village mayors, and it's an all-day meeting, and Sandy Creville will be there, who we all know. So I thought that meeting was more important to attend, and so I will be going and preparing for this. We've asked every department head, Mr. Bingle has, to come up with paragraphs of where the state could better cooperate with that particular area. We're certainly talking about the Cumberland Connector Road, any issues in the DOT, and highways. And I will be presenting those issues at this meeting, and we'll also take the occasion to praise the governor and the staff where they have helped us, and certainly in the area of the State Emergency Management Office has been a great help to us the last 2 or 3 years. And we ought to praise Ed Jacoby and the staff, certainly we will do that. So that's being prepared. The organizational meeting of the Regional Workforce Investment Board, which is a big thing now, new federal law, state law, was held on June 7th in Saranac Lake. Steve Bouyer, Bill Bingle, and I attended. We are one of 4 counties that make up the region, Essex, Franklin, and Hamilton. We decided that the membership of the regional board would consist of 33 members by population, 15 from Clinton County, 8 from Franklin, 6 from Essex, and 4 from Hamilton. Each county had at least 4 members. We started out with that, and we went with population. We were asked to designate the members of the Regional Workforce Board by June 25th, and you're being asked to do that tonight in the resolution, and Mr. Bouyer may speak further to that later in the meeting. I've asked him to suggest members from Clinton County, and he's suggested people who have been very good about attending the meetings of the Workforce Board up to this point. I hope we have your support for these members. At the meeting of the 4 counties, it was decided we would submit an application to the Labor Department to apply for a one-stop career center, integrated workforce development system. And that request for application was due June 7th, and Deputy Commissioner Jim Dillon accepted our application that evening. We're asking for one for Clinton County, which we ought to have. In addition to that, the next issue I want to talk about is improved communications with PART. Mr. Bingle and I attended a meeting with Mr. Winnicky and Mr. Dukin and Mr. Whitbeck and Mr. Who was the Vice President? Bruce Stebbins, Mr. Stebbins. And out of that meeting, it was suggested that, like the Common Council, there's a group of Common Council members who meet with PART and Mr. Winnicky every once in a while, whenever there's need for a meeting, whenever there's an agenda item, or agenda item for the meeting. And it's once a month or once every 2 months, and it was suggested that we might want to do that, because there are some issues there that would reflect on the county, in addition to the airport, there's the whole issue of pilots, etc. And so tonight I am appointing to that committee to meet with Mr. Winnicky and some of his staff, Legislator Joseph Giroux, James Langley, myself, County Administrator William Bingham. On another issue, Mayor Rabideau and I have discussed ways in which the county and city can work together in an attempt to solve the downtown parking problem. We read about it in the newspaper recently. It is a problem. The mayor wants to keep county employees in the city. He hopes we won't build outside the city, and he has some particular ideas. I suggested that we sit down and we have a meeting of our representatives, our liaison with his group, and he agreed to that. So I'm appointed to that committee legislators Keith DeFayette, Gladys Perry, George Rabideau, County Planner Rodney Brown, and County Administrator William Bingham. I would like to attend the first meeting of that committee. The Board of Health, as Mr. Giroux said, will be receiving applications from the Health Commission. I think you said there were 15 candidates?
15 to 17 as of the other day.
Okay. And the search is underway, of course, for a probation director. It's my understanding that at the June 30th finance meeting, we're going to be discussing the issue of sales tax exemption on clothing and footwear. And I would like to suggest that on July 14th, we have a resolution on the agenda, regardless of our discussion, to vote this up or down. I think that we should have a vote on it, and I think that we should advertise the fact that we're going to have it on the agenda on July 14th. I hope you will agree, because a lot of merchants will want to go, a lot of local government officials will want to go, and I'm sure Mr. Paquette will have figures showing what the impact will be on the towns and the villages and the city and the county if this passes. Okay, so we ought to consider that. And that's all I have. Unless there are any questions. Committee reports. Mr. Bingham.
Resolution 451, authorizing reapplication and acceptance of the Senior Community Service Employment Program grant.
Office of the Agent. Mrs. Perry. Second. Mr. Langley. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Defiant?
Yes.
Mrs. Paquette?
Yes.
Resolution 452, authorizing contract with Senior Citizens Council of Clinton County Office of the Agent.
Motion. Mrs. Perry, second. Mr. Langley, discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Defiant?
Yes.
Mrs. Paquette?
Yes.
Resolution 453, authorizing amendment with North Country Center for Independence Office of the Agent.
Moved by Mr. Langley, second. Mr. Giroux, discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Defiant?
Yes.
Mrs. Paquette?
Yes.
Resolution 454, authorizing agreement with Twin State Telephone Data Processing.
Moved by Mr. Langley, second. Mr. May, discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Defiant?
Yes.
Mrs. Paquette?
Yes.
Resolution 455, authorizing the county treasurer to transfer funding from the E911 reserve to the 911 communication systems account for the console upgrade emergency services.
Moved by Mr. Rabideau, second. Mrs. Perry, discussion.
Yes, I've got a
Mr.
comment on
Boyer.
this. I'm going to vote for it because we're being told we need it, but at the same time, I'm questioning the fact that this system is only about 5 years old, and why was it not Y2K 5 years ago when we bought it? Is there something that Motorola overlooked? Is there something we overlooked? 5 years, Y2K is going to talk about way a lot more than that, and I'd like to see Motorola come back with an answer to this, and in turn possibly even a lower price because of the age of this thing. It's not that old.
Would you like a letter framed to that extent?
I'd like one, yes.
Any other question or comment? Roll call.
Mr. Defiant?
Yes.
Mrs. Paquette?
Yes.
Resolution 456, approving contract with Dorothy Madden, Public Health Management Consultant, Health Department.
Moved by Mr. Giroux, second. Mr. Defiant, discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Defiant?
Yes.
Mrs. Paquette?
Yes.
Resolution 457, authorizing the purchasing agent to solicit bids for home health care software program, Health Department.
Moved by Mr. Giroux. How about we go 5-5 on this? We got a lot of letters on it. So you go, Mr. Giroux, we go 5-5. No problem. Okay.
5-4.
5-4. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Discussion, Mr. Rabideau.
I would hope that the specs when they're drawn are open competitive, and that the specs when they're drawn don't narrow in on one company,
Good point.
and that somebody from the county, such as our computer expert, review those specs before they go out to make sure that that's the fact.
And I understand from Mr. Giroux, he mentioned that to me the other night, that Mr. Andrews has agreed to do this before he leaves.
Yes, I said he would, and I also mentioned exactly what Mr. Rabideau mentioned in the last.
Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Resolution 458, denying reallocation for traffic signal technician highway.
Moved by Mr. Boyer, second Mr. Giroux, discussion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Resolution 459, awarding RFP for Space Study Legislature.
Move it.
Moved by Mrs. Paquette, second. Mr. Boyer, discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Defiant?
Yes.
Mrs. Paquette?
Yes.
Resolution 460, authorizing contract with Twin State for Internet Service Legislature.
Moved by Mr. May, second. Mr. Langley, discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Defiant?
Yes.
Mrs. Paquette?
Yes.
Resolution 461, commending Peru Community Church for their humanitarian activities.
Moved by Mr. Langley, second. Mr. Defiant, we're going to go 5-5? Okay. 5-4. Okay. This is a very good resolution. This is very thoughtful. This Blue Community Church seems to me, and I don't live out there, but always to be in the forefront of activities like this.
Well,
On an
I
international
became
note-
aware of it when I was attending the 25th anniversary of our Office of the Aging Nutritional site. Peru has sponsored it in that site for 22 of the 25 years, and as I walked in, I noticed there weren't any plaques from the legislature. And then I thought perhaps they might have burned down in the fire that they had had, and we hadn't replaced them. But on research, we noticed that other than Mrs. Parker getting one in '91, I believe, for her recycling efforts before the county did it, we have never given them one. So we'll rectify that.
Any discussion? No discussion, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Resolution 462 has been withdrawn. Resolution 463, supporting a celebration of the 400th anniversary of Samuel B. Champlain's arrival to this region.
Move it.
Moved by Mrs. Paquette, second Mr. Langley, discussion. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, carried.
Resolution 464, authorizing contract with Griffin International, Inc., Planning.
Moved by Mr. Langley,
Second.
second Mr. Giroux, discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Defiant?
Yes.
Mrs. Paquette?
Yes.
Resolution 465, authorizing the transfer of properties acquired through the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program at Ladue Street to the town of Scholar Falls, Planning.
Moved by Mr. Langley,
You want to go
second.
5-5 on this?
Yep.
I mean, it's quite an event for the county first time.
I suggest that on the second name after Mr. Langley, we have Mr. Defiant, and then 5-4, right?
I had asked during a meeting with Rodney Brown that the word facility be removed from this resolution.
Where is that?
Where it says recreational ball field facility.
What's wrong with that?
Well, it's because it has to be vacant land other than, I'm sorry, George, I jumped in.
That's okay.
They can only have like bathrooms or facilities, meaning,
Can't have structure.
that's correct.
Right, and I feel that the resolution should reflect that, and just take it off. It's the same resolution, except it just doesn't give a connotation of facility that is structured. If we could just make that a little
Anybody
bit.
have any problem with that? Okay, without an amendment to the motion, if anybody disagrees, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, carried. Maybe we could have some kind of little ceremony too, because that is a significant thing.
We should do that. We should have a...
Rodney said he was planning it.
Yeah. Sometime in August.
Resolution 466, authorizing the purchasing agent to advertise and solicit requests for proposals for services required to prepare plans for activities recommended by the local advisory committee for the Lake Champlain Byway Corridor Management Plan for Clinton County Planning.
Moved by Mr. Langley, second Mrs. Paquette, discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Defiant?
Yes.
Mrs. Paquette?
Yes.
Resolution 467, approving the application for apportionment of Sable.
Moved by Mr. Langley, second.
I'll second.
Mrs. Paquette, discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Defiant?
Yes.
Mrs. Paquette?
Yes.
Resolution 468, approving application for apportionment of Sable.
Moved by Mr. Langley, second.
Second.
Mr. Defiant. Roll call.
Mr. Defiant?
Yes.
Mrs. Paquette?
Yes.
Resolution 469, authorizing the county treasurer to increase appropriation of corresponding revenue for the homelessness prevention grant social
Moved
services.
by Mrs. Perry, second. Mr. Langley, discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Defiant?
Yes.
Mrs. Paquette?
Yes.
Resolution 470.
The resolution that 470 was withdrawn because it authorized the county to amend the current lease agreement with Casella to increase the annual tonnage limit in consideration for certain benefits to the county. And as you know, an integral part of the program or the agreement was a proposed buyout by Casella of new court properties, which to date has not been accomplished. So on the advice of our attorney, we are withholding action on this resolution to see if this can be accomplished before our July 14th meeting. And if it can't be accomplished before our July 14th meeting, we will take further action at that time. So we are withdrawing that resolution unless there's an objection by 6 people. There being no objection, the resolution is withdrawn.
Resolution 471, authorizing the county treasurer to write off uncollectible account metals unlimited solid waste landfill.
Motion to that effect?
Table.
Dies for lack of a motion.
Resolution 472, approving appointment to the Stop BWI Advisory Board, Stop BWI.
Moved by Mr. Rabbit, second.
Second.
Mrs. Perry, discussion. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, carries.
Resolution 473, a resolution authorizing the issuance of $1,902,000 serial bonds of the County of Clinton, New York to pay the cost of various capital improvements in and for said county.
Moved by Mrs. Paquette, second.
Second.
Mr. Defiant, discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Defiant?
Yes.
Mrs. Paquette?
Yes.
Resolution 474, authorizing amendment to the New York State Petroleum Products Quality Program contract weights and measures.
Moved by Mr. Langley, second. Mr. Drew, discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Defiant?
Yes.
Mrs. Paquette?
Yes.
Resolution 475, authorizing out-of-state travel weights and measures.
Moved by Mr. Langley, second.
I'll second.
Mr. Rabideau, discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Defiant?
Yes.
Mrs. Paquette?
Yes.
Resolution 476, approving the allocation of youth development delinquency prevention, unallocated eligibility, and authorizing contract with Beacon County Youth Commission Youth Bureau.
I'll move it.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Giroux, moved by Mr. Rabideau, second by Mr. Giroux. Somebody else? Mr. Bouye. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Defiant?
Yes.
Mrs. Paquette?
Yes.
Resolution 477, increasing appropriation corresponding revenue for 1999 youth service.
Moved by Mr.
I'll move
Rabideau, second. Mr. Bouye, discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Defiant?
Yes.
Mrs. Paquette?
Yes.
Resolution 478, approving appointment to the Clinton County Youth Board.
it. I'll move it.
Moved by Mr. Rabideau,
40
second.
little.
Mr. Defiant. Pardon?
Where little, right? 40 little.
Yes. Moved by Mr., did I call you Mr. Little? I called you Mr. Rabideau.
No, it's very little to try.
Moved by Mr. Rabideau, second. Mr. Defiant. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
So moved.
Opposed, carried. Move waive Rule 13, and Mrs. Perry moves that. Second by Mr. Bouye, discussion. Vote to waive Rule 13. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Okay.
Resolution 479, approving appointment to the Office of the Aging Advisory Committee.
Move that.
Moved by Mr. Langley, second. Mr. Rabideau, discussion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Resolution 480, approving reappointments to the JCEO Board.
I move it.
Moved by Mrs. Paquette and Mr. Giroux, second by Mr. Garrett. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. It should be Mrs. Paquette and Mr. Garrett, seeing Mr. Giroux as a member. No, you're not a member, are you? You're not a member. You're not a member?
Remember it.
I had a one-year term for a while, but I didn't realize
Okay. So that'll be just Mrs. Paquette and me. Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Resolution 481, approving appointment to the Workforce Development Board, Legislature.
Moved by Mr. Bouye, second. Mrs. Perry, discussion. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, carried.
Resolution 482, approving appointments to the Regional Workforce Investment Board.
Moved by Mr. Bouye, second. Mrs. Perry, you want to move that? You want someone else to move it? Not direct move it. Okay. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Paul, thank you for your support of that. We can get that going. We've got some, Steve assured me we've got some very good people on there. And I want to call your attention to the fact that the new president all in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, carried.
Resolution 483, congratulating Peru Central School Boys 1600-meter relay team for winning the Class B New York State Public High School Athletic Association Championship.
Moved by Mr. Langley, second. Mr. Defiant, discussion. You want to go 5-5? 5-4. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, carried.
Resolution 484, congratulating Jason Jabut for winning the Class B Boys 1600-meter run in the New York State Public High School Athletic Association's Track and Field Championship.
Moved by Mr. Defiant, second. Mr. Giroux, could I suggest that after if we go 5-4, you want to go 5-4? Mrs. Perry's name follow Mr. Defiant because Seton is down in her district.
Yes.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Resolution 485, congratulating Dominic Richmond of Plattsburgh High School for winning the Class B Boys 400-meter championship in the New York State Public High School Athletic Association Track and Field Championship.
I'll move that.
That first, okay. That's moved by Mrs. Perry, Mr. Garrett, Mr. Abidu. You want to go 5-4 on that? All in favor, signify by saying aye. This young man lives in Mrs. Perry's district up on South 2nd Street. I'm told.
I'll reverse it. Reverse it.
Resolution 486, awarding request for proposal for medication, administration, and consultant services, and authorizing contract with Royal Care Pharmacy for the nursing home.
Who's on the?
I'm on that. I'll move it.
Moved by Mr.
That's the one we're talking about.
Rabideau, second by Mr. Langley. Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Defiant?
Yes.
Mrs. Paquette?
Yes.
Resolution 487, awarding request for proposal for laundering of linens and authorizing contract with Champlain Laundry and Cleaners Inc. Nursing Home.
Moved by Mrs. Perry, moved by Mr. Paquette, second by Mr. Rabideau.
Yes.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Defiant?
Yes.
Mrs. Paquette?
Yes.
Resolution 488, authorizing contract with Ona Belcher Consultant Social Services.
Moved by Mrs. Perry, second Mr. Bouyer. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Defiant?
Yes.
Mrs. Paquette?
Yes.
Resolution 489, accepting family resolutions grant social services.
Moved by Mrs. Perry, second by Mr. Bouyer. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Defiant?
Yes.
Mrs. Paquette?
Yes.
Resolution 490, authorizing purchase of human resources and fiscal management software package treasurer's office.
Moved by Mr. Bouyer, second Mr. Langley. Discussion?
Yeah, after numerous phone calls to you and numerous department heads, one of the biggest questions I had was whether or not we could incorporate this into the Board of Health and their $500,000 purchase. Coming out of that, that cannot be done at this point, and that was a big issue. That was one of the things that indirectly we could save money and also save some great expense. What I'm learning is what the county's got now is nothing more than a bunch of modules that none of them interact. And to go from that extreme to an extreme of an open system would be rather difficult in management, personnel, and money. So the best option is to go with a closed system at this point, with what the recommendation is, but realizing the fact that probably within 5 years we're going to change this all again. Whether Munis keeps up with the times and goes to an open system or not, I'm not sure. That's a non-foreseen thing, but I do personally feel that within 5 years, or at least 5 years, if not sooner, we're going to be upgrading this again. But the change from one to the other would be too drastic, and the time frame we're under, we never get it.
The only thing I would add is that our intention in this is, even if we were to have to change in about 5 years, a lot of the hardware components will interchange, at least at this point, with Oracle. So if it came down in price, or if it became more, that we could encompass more departments and so forth, it isn't money that's lost, but it's, as Steve said, we're spending money right now one way or the other, and there's no guarantee that in 5 years that we won't be doing it again. So it's the cheaper of the two different styles.
Mrs. Paquette?
Yes, I appreciate your research, and I certainly will follow the recommendations of the committee. However, I'm concerned all the money we spend on technology, and 2 months later, a month later at our meeting, we have a change order, another $20,000, another $15,000. I just hope that this stops here, that this need to purchase, they made the decision, we better meet their needs.
I think Mr. Bowie has some more comments on that.
I told them to definitely go through it. I know part of the deal is about $40,000 for personnel because of the fact that they must certify civil service payrolls. Hopefully that's all it's going to take to do that, but at the same time, I just made suggestions that they make sure their maintenance contract has got escalation clauses in it so they don't go up any drastic amount of dollars, at least for what they feel is the life of the computer system. After that, you never know what's going to happen.
So we need a tight contract
We
for
need a very tight
maintenance and
contract.
personnel and training.
Changes, they should
So
have
we
a
have to
dollar
send
in there.
people away 10 days a year to get training. Let's make sure it's all nailed down in our contract.
And definitely make sure that whatever the change orders are, we've got a dollar figure per hour what these people are going to charge.
And who will be responsible for drawing up the contract?
I have no idea who draws up that contract.
The county.
County treasurer will take the lead on that.
And do I sign that?
You sign it, and then turn it to.
Before I sign it, I want to make sure there's a treasury written contract. And I got to tell you that I can't thank you enough for getting on this quickly. You were welcome to the gym. I never expected you to start on Monday.
We started on Monday. We tried to get a hold of the people to come up here. They were taking telling us it was at least 3 weeks before they come up. And based on what we were hearing from Eric, Greg, Janet, and Alan Gibson, we just weren't able to handle Oracle at this time to meet our time constraints and also the timing for people that we need to implement this thing. So we went back and said there was no sense waiting for personnel to return for this 4 weeks before we go on this. We brought that down.
They should be pleased that they have 1 week less to wait.
Well, really 3 because we've already gone to the full board the 14th of
Last
July.
2.
And we did, at least I did, I talked to the college about their programming in Oracle and so forth. It's a nice platform on which to build, but basically in the creation of the platform, our responsibility would be 8 jobs. I mean, we can be able to mix those about. You could have different hats and so forth, but the problem is we only have 6 people to begin with in the computer department, which they're very adept at what it is that they do. But at this current time with Y2K, we're still not totally complete yet. We just wouldn't have the time or the guarantees to be totally done by the end of the year.
And the last comment I had with Janet this afternoon, and I know Albany County is tremendously larger than we are. They've been doing this for 2 years in their term between Oracle and Munis, and they still have not yet made a decision. And they were amazed that we did it in 6 months.
Yes.
I would like to commend the committee that was selected, you know, and doing an excellent job in coming up with what they did.
Thank you, Mr. Flatt.
Yeah, I would just like to comment that it's nice to see the Republican majority come in line with the Democratic minority on this issue.
I think what I will do is, before I will sign the contract, I will share a copy with each of you. You know, let each of you see it. You can tell Mrs. Dubray that she's going to have to, if she has a deadline, she better get it to us 2 or 3 days in advance because I want every legislator to study it before it's approved. Okay? Before I sign it. Is that fair with everybody? Everybody agree with that? Okay?
And we can meet as a whole before we bring
Fine,
it out.
fine, yeah, fine. Because I'm concerned about being nickel and dime.
Yes,
And,
that's.
4 or 5 years from now, ending up spending $100,000, $200,000, $250,000 more when we put it down the system that the probably wouldn't cost us any more money. So let's, I can't predict that.
So we went with their recommendation,
Right.
so they better be
That's right.
prepared to stand by it.
That's right.
I think just to add a comment, I thought Eric from the computer did a good presentation of data processing and did a good presentation, I thought, at the finance meeting. And at that meeting, if you remember, I asked him about that. I asked him, would you be comfortable with this Munis system? And he said he would. And I said, I also asked him, you know, there's a difference of $300,000 there. Would you, if you had to put out a program, would you even have to involve up to $300,000 of this program? And he said, no, he's way below that. I know. And so we're talking double the amount of money to go from one program to the other.
But you're also talking apples and oranges.
I know you're talking Cadillacs and all that kind of stuff.
Well, no, the fair comparison wouldn't be in the automobile class on this one.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Defiant?
Yes.
Mrs. Paquette?
Yes,
Resolution 491, authorizing the county treasurer to establish a capital project titled Human Resources and Fiscal Management Software Package Project 99-05.
Moved by Mrs. Paquette, second by Mr. Boyer. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Defiant?
Yes.
Mrs. Paquette?
yes.
Are there any other resolutions to come before the legislature? Any further discussion? Mrs. Ferry moves and we adjourn. Second by Mr. Defiant. We are adjourned. Thank you to the town of Daisy, Mr. Dean, and the town board for allowing us to use your facility.
Thank you.